You're right, guys, how's it going? Right, this one's going to be a funny one for you. Well, it was for me anyway. Basically, game case decisions. Now, this is a touchy subject with me because some game cases really, really annoy me. And I know it's probably a petty thing to go on about, but, you know. Some of these game cases are really, really annoying. Just for the fact that after time they don't fix together, or just the fact that they're too clunky for the actual game disc or cartridge that they're actually in. So, I thought I'd show you some of UK's worst game cases. And basically, to start off that, I'm going to go for these two, which is obviously Sega Saturn, which I don't know if this is the case there, but with these ones, they come in a big clunky plastic case which is so awkward, and the disc doesn't even stay in anymore because the pins have worn out on the inside, which, like that, it's a pain in the ass if I'm honest. So yeah, that comes in at my number one because it just is annoying. It's that simple. So enough said about that one. My second one is just for the fact, right, just to clear things up, just because the fact that it's a handheld console. Nothing else. The fact that it is a handheld console. It's also one of the worst discs or media formats I've ever seen, and that's a solid catastrophe on Sony's part. You know, so, but yeah. PSP cases. Now, the disc isn't that big. They could have made the disc half the size of this. And if I'm perfectly honest with you, you know what I mean? I mean, that could have like moved down here. They could have made that half the size instead of making it as clunky as it is. And they're that easy to break as well, you know. But then again, it all comes down to the discs as well. The discs, the UMDs for them. I mean, it was a good idea on paper, but as an actual format, they crack, they split, and that is a major no-no for obviously a media that you want to last for a long time. So that comes at my number two. Now, my number three was a little bit of a hard one because I don't like the DS cases on top of them being a mobile one because they're just too thick. You know, they could have made them thinner as well, but they didn't. Again, that's a thing on Nintendo's part, but I decided to go against that one because there was one that was always going to be worse. And if I'm honest, this is only in the UK as this one, because I know the US got a completely different case. They got a thin jewel case for this console and their games. Disc format, no, they came as the actual cases come, you know, in a jewel case with a back sheet and a front sheet and a little bit of a manual. Ours, on the other hand, came with this clunky mess, which, come on, it opens two ways, and like I showed on my last video, you've got that side cover with a disc section there and the book at the back, and again, the reason I don't like these is because they're that clunky, and then you've got another one there. So essentially you've got something similar to an aeroplane wing, which, you know, but still, one of the worst cases ever. It's so easy to break as well because the actual, if you can see, I don't know if you can see it clearly on there, but this is probably the first one I've had that isn't actually broken. For good reason, and that's because they're so weak and agile, it's unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Now, there are other cases that work remarkably well, and this is where I think things get better, because obviously I've covered Saturn games, I've covered the Dreamcast games, and I've also covered the PSP games, or game cases. And I'm going to move on now to obviously the best cases which you could possibly use for any of them, any game that is a disc format at least. And I'm not being funny, but the last generation did it right properly. And again, it was after things like this, which big clunky plastic cases that can easily break. And yeah, that's another one of the ones that I don't like, the PS1. Horrible. But yeah, my top 3 are the ones I've shown you. Now, these ones did it right. Obviously, original Xbox, GameCube, and the PS2, they all went for the same style of case, obviously. But it's the best case because I've had these stood on before now, and they're still, you know, remarkably built really well. And I still don't get why developers or designers decide to use that case, because it's just a horrible case to work with and it's unbelievable. But there is one case that I hated more than those, by far. And I know people are going to say, oh well, you don't really need the packaging to these, but end of the day, there are people out there that want boxed games where these games are concerned, and that's cartridge games. Besides the DS and the 3DS, obviously, which are cartridge, which are for the newer generation, this was just a no-no for me, because I'm not sure on anybody that has the cardboard sleeves for their games, which are cartridges. And this comes under Nintendo's jurisdiction, because over here, I don't know if it was the same in the US, like I keep saying, but over there, they got cardboard cases, pretty much everything, I think. Over here, the majority of the Master System games, Mega Drive games, and games on that side were all made of plastic, proper hard plastic, which is great. They were still a bit flimsy, but they worked. NES games, Super Nintendo games, fair enough, NES games actually came with a black sleeve with Nintendo written on it, which was awesome. That was great stuff. But Super Nintendo cartridges, things like that, came in a plastic cardboard box, which never lasted the time, unless you've got one which is still in its plastic. But again, the more recent generation to do that, or the most recent one, is the N64. The N64s came with that as well, which was even worse. That was just... I don't get why people use cardboard sleeves for their stuff. But, if I'm perfectly honest, guys, I just wanted to rant about that, because I have a certain amount of games which have better stuff than that. So, what I thought, I'd rant to you about it, get your comments, your vision on it, and like I say it every video, comment below, down here, like, the thumbs up, and if you can, guys, if you're not already, and if you are, thank you, if you're not, please subscribe, because that would be absolutely awesome. For the meantime, guys, I shall see you guys in a little while. Bye.